Hello everyone. In this video, we will talk about the different fallacies. Talking about or discussing about fallacies is an important aspect for ethical decision making and to understand what the structures, the contents, and the materials of arguments can help us discern correct decisions. That's why we're going to talk about informal fallacies. Now, why do we focus only on informal fallacies? Because there is a formal formal set of fallacies that need to be discussed first if you're going to talk about logic and critical thinking. As for now, I would like to familiarize you with the informal fallacies that you may encounter in your daily lives. Now, informal fallacies, as the word itself, come from the Latin word fallio, which means I deceive. Now, by definition, informal fallacies are deceptive arguments that seem correct, but is actually incorrect. Now, if you go deeper in the analysis of these fallacies, you can sense that it sounds correct, but it's actually incorrect because of the content, of the premises, and the structure or the way it was delivered. Now, Aristotle defined two fallacies or two groups of fallacies, informal fallacies. These are your verbal and your non-verbal fallacies. When we talk of verbal fallacies, these are fallacies concerning on the use of words. Now, there are four types of verbal fallacies or four forms of verbal fallacies. It can be a fallacy of equivocation, wherein we use the same word or phrase with different meanings in the same argument. For example, the boy or the word boy rhymes with toy, but you have a baby boy. Therefore, you can consider yourself having a toy. So the use of words confuses the argument, making it sound valid, but is actually invalid. The second form of verbal fallacy is the fallacy of amphiboly. Amphiboly states that there is lack of verbal clarity because of grammatical errors. Like, for example, the rocking chair of an old lady with two broken legs. In this argument, it seems that the two broken legs may be referring to the rocking chair or to the old lady. The argument is ambiguous, not clear. Therefore, it is considered as a fallacy of amphiboly. Another type of fallacy is the fallacy of composition, where we state that what is true of the parts of a whole is true of the whole of the thing. For example, if I say that there's a majority of students or that the majority of the students in this particular class has superior intelligence, it is wrong to say that all students in that class have superior intelligence because the individual parts or the individual students may not speak of the whole of the class or may not represent the whole of the class. The fourth one is the fallacy of division, wherein we state that this is the converse of your fallacy of composition, where we state that what is true of the whole is also true of the parts of the whole. Like, for example, a certain family has good musical inclination. Then we can say that the eldest daughter must be good at piano. Again, each individual part may not be affected by the attribute of the whole. So that's why this particular statement is false. Another type or another group of fallacies are your non-verbal fallacies. I would like to emphasize this lecture on fallacies that refer to ignoratio elenchi, wherein the fallacy that proves some other conclusion rather than the one at issue. It's like you're missing the point. Now, there are several arguments or several forms of this ignoratio elenchi. The first one and the most common of them all is the argumentum ad hominem, wherein the argument focuses an attack against the man rather than answering the specific argument. Like, for example, I will not vote for this person because she is a woman. That alone is an attack against the woman because you're attacking her femininity. The second form of argument of ignoratio elenchi is the ad misericordiam, or an appeal to pity. If you encounter campaign jingles that say, vote for me because I've been through poverty, or we must side to this person because he has endured a lot of poverty, that's an appeal to pity. And that misses the point of answering the argument why we should vote for someone. Okay? Another form of this fallacious argument is the ad populum argument, or the argumentum ad populum, which appeals to the people. When you say, let's just unite, but do not offer solutions to solve problems, to solve crises, that's an appeal to people. You do not explicate, you do not explain what would you like to unite for, right? Now, the next type of nonverbal or ignoratio elenchi is your argumentum ad verecundiam, which appeals to the wrong authority. So it's okay that you cite your opinion or give your opinion based on authority, but the key term here is that you're citing the wrong person to give his opinion on a specific topic. Like, for example, how dare you doubt the paintings of Florence Nightingale? This is just an exaggeration, but see how it appeals to the wrong authority. Because all we know, Florence Nightingale is not a painter or an artist. Another type of ignoratio elenchi arguments are your argumentum ad baculum, which means it appeals to the force, right? So, like, for example, if someone says to you, agree with me or I shall hit you, this particular statement is wrong or is false because it does not answer the issue why he or she should agree with you. Next is the appeal to pity, or sorry, not the appeal to pity. Yeah, appeal to pride, wherein you are giving a conceited argument about particular painting. Like, for example, the painting is beautiful because I did it. It's difficult to disagree because the person's pride might be destroyed or affected. Another type of nonverbal fallacy is begging the question, wherein you use the conclusion or the outcome as the premise to prove your same conclusion. Let's look at the forms of begging the question. When we say, the first form is vicious circle, wherein you go round and round in an argument. Like, for example, why are you awake? Because I am not sleeping. And why are you not sleeping? Because I am awake. It does not answer the very essence of the question, but rather it just circumvents the flow of conversation and the flow of reasoning. Another type or another form of begging the question is using both premise and conclusion argument. Like, for example, this diamond flawless is flawless because it is without blemish. Looking at this conclusion, we all know that flawless means without blemish. So if you keep on using the term to prove your outcome, to prove your conclusion, then you're just running in circles and you're just begging the question. And the last one is your question begging expressions, wherein you use unnecessary terms and without evidence to prove your point. So, like for example, in this statement, it is clearly evident that Nikki is a liar. The word clearly evident is not supported by any evidence, but you're saying it, okay? Just to make sure that you get agreement on your argument, okay? That is particularly wrong because you do not support your argument with valid reasons. Now, aside from the Aristotelian fallacies, we can also observe non-Aristotelian fallacies. Like, for example, the first one is the non sequitur, wherein the proposition results into an insensible conclusion. It means that the conclusion has made no sense. It sounds like a syllogism, okay? But then the conclusions are wrong. The conclusions that don't make sense. Like, for example, movie stars are people, but Gina wants to be a movie star. Therefore, she is going to Hollywood. Okay? Does that make any sense? The second type of fallacy is suppressing the facts, wherein you just choose the favorable and unfavorable facts to support your argument. Now, this is usual in the character assassinations of political opponents, okay? Not proving the point of being in jail and using other arguments to destroy the character of the person. Okay. The next one is the argument from silence. So it means that if the argument is not in books or not in newspaper, it did not happen. It is usually present for those who are denying our history. And the next is your illicit generalization, wherein you draw conclusion from insufficient evidences. For example, Johnny has money, and at the same time, our cashier lost some money. Therefore, Johnny must have stolen from the cashier. This is an illicit generalization because you do not have evidence to prove that Johnny stole some money from the cashier. And lastly, your false assumption, wherein there is a false unexpressed premise to draw a conclusion. Like, for example, you cannot see God, therefore there is no God. There are other forms of fallacies, and some of here are still being committed by some people. You can read more books or more resources or references for you to be familiar with more fallacies and even the formal fallacies. And that ends our discussion on informal fallacies. Thank you so much and have a nice day.